I'm Noah Church. This is my video coaching series. I received an email questioning me about NoFap superpowers. Now, it's a common conception that doing NoFap over a certain period of time can afford one certain superpowers. And I'm here to tell you that that's ridiculous. I mean, there's no way that not masturbating for a period of time can give you superpowers. But seriously, I do believe in NoFap superpowers. Not that doing NoFap will bring you to a level above where humans have evolved to be, but that after years of using PMO and unwittingly being depressed by it, being numbed by it, returning to a normal, healthy state can feel like you're acquiring superpowers. A lot of these superpowers that guys report are better ability to focus and concentrate, more motivation to get things done, more ambition, better memory, more energy, better able to fall asleep, sleep well, and wake up refreshed, more lucid and vivid dreams, a reduction in acne, increase in hair growth, more muscle mass being built from the gym, what else? More attractive to the opposite sex, better able to relate to people and talk to people in an easy and comfortable manner, and more confident in your interactions with others and with women in particular. Now, not everyone experiences all of these superpowers, and not everyone would call them superpowers. And a lot of people wonder, how much of this is just a placebo effect. You believe that NoFap will change your life and it'll help you in all these ways, and because you believe it, it happens. Your mind tricks yourself into doing that. Or how much of it is real neurological changes happening in the brain that affect how you think, how you feel, and how others perceive you. And I'm here to say that there's no way to really tell how much is one and how much is the other. To do so, we would need to design a study where we'd have, a control group of guys who've used porn for a long time, and we tell these guys, it's cool, just keep using porn and tell us how you feel. And then we have an experimental group where these guys have also used porn for a long time, and we take away their porn without them knowing about it. You can see how we might run into trouble here, because the only way to account for the placebo effect is for them not to know they're receiving that treatment, that change. And a guy's going to notice if he can't use porn anymore or he's not using porn anymore. So there's no way to account for that placebo effect. And I truly believe that how we act and how we think physically changes our brain. We've seen studies like if you practice juggling for a long period of time, months, then those areas of the brain responsible for motor response and ocular response actually grow larger. They increase in mass. Or if you lose sight, for instance, the parts of your brains purposed for interpreting those ocular signals are repurposed, so you have greater acuity of hearing or your other senses. And that's why some blind people can seem like they have a better grasp on what's around them than people who can see would think would be possible without their eyes. And that's pretty freaking cool what the brain can do. But also, the changes that happen to the brain, like if you get into an accident and you receive brain injury or you get too drunk, what chemical changes happen in the brain affect how we think, how we act, how we feel. So it's not just a one-way street. It's not one that causes the other. They each, the mental and the physical, interact with the other. And that's the miracle of consciousness in the human mind. But I'm going to talk about the actual neurological changes that happen in your brain from using porn for a long period of time and from quitting, and also the mental changes that happen when you're quitting porn and how that can also contribute to the superpowers. So I'm going to read from this guy's email. He says, "Hello, bro. I really appreciate what you do, so one big thank you. I've decided to stop watching porn and masturbating for good. Now, what do you think of those superpowers? I've been reading stories all day long, and I see people saying that they literally become chick magnets or something like that, about their confidence, attractiveness, etc. What do you think of all that?" Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about a study that I read a long time ago. It was about cynomolgus macaques, which is a type of monkeys. Now, when housed alone, these monkeys all had the same density of dopamine receptors in their brains. A dopamine is that neurochemical that we get a shot of when we see something that is evolutionarily advantageous for our survival, that we should want to have. Like, if we're thirsty and we see water, we'll get a shot of dopamine that gives us that impulse to go and drink it. Or we see a nice, fatty, sweet slice of cake, we'll get a shot of dopamine. And those receptors pick up that signal and give us that feeling of impulse. The same thing, or similar thing, with an attractive mate. We see her or him, and we get that shot of dopamine that impels us to go after that. And the same thing happens in porn, only porn is a super stimulus. It shows us more hot mates doing a greater variety of things than we would ever find in the natural world. So that's why when we get that huge hit of dopamine from seeing that sort of thing, we can become addicted to it, and even come to prefer it over real mates, real sex, the real deal. And these macaques, when they're housed together, we see that over time the dominant monkeys, those that establish themselves as the alphas of the monkey society, and we see these monkeys, they are submitted to more often, they spend less time alone, they spend more time being groomed by the other monkeys, and they're obviously socially superior to the other monkeys. They're at a higher level in the monkey society. And after 3 months of being in this society, those monkeys that established themselves as dominant had a 20% increase in the density of their dopamine D2 receptors. So their behavior changed their brains, but also that change reinforces their dominant behavior. We see that when they chemically stunted all of the monkeys back to a baseline level of receptors and dopamine, the society collapsed. There were no more dominant or submissive monkeys, they were all at the same level. And that means that not only did their actions change their brains, but a change to their brains changed their actions. Now, bringing this back to porn, dopamine and the dopamine receptors don't only control sexual response, they control all the things we've been talking about: motivation, focus, ambition, social interaction and social dominance, confidence. And when we use porn over a long period of time, because we're getting such big shots of dopamine, those receptors to defend themselves from this overload of dopamine start shutting down, and there are fewer receptors available to pick up that signal. And that's why guys start to use more extreme forms of porn to get the same rush, because they can't get as strong of a feeling from the porn they used to use because they've been desensitized. But that reduction in dopamine receptors also affects other aspects of their lives. So that's maybe why we see guys who quit porn and are resensitizing their brains also see all these superpowers emerge. And we know that this is true in humans as well, because, well, there have been studies that have shown that people with more social support, with a superior social station, more success points in their lives, they have higher densities of dopamine D2 receptors. And the people who are less successful or have a less robust social structure, fewer friends, they have lower densities of dopamine receptors. And also, a brave medical student about 10 years ago decided that he was going to allow himself to be chemically stunted. He was going to have the dopamine neutralized in his brain to see what would happen. And we saw what we might expect to see. He became anxious, stressed, unable to speak very well, unable to concentrate, depressed, and really just was unable to function without that dopamine. Now I'm going to read from a guy who's a rebooter, and he's going through these changes. He says, "For years I've had social anxiety, suffered from depression, no motivation. I had some social contact, but it was mostly superficial. I didn't really bother getting to know people. Nothing interested me. I just went from day to day, not really doing anything. But worst of all, looking back, was that I was generally unhappy, and I didn't really care that I was. I guess you could say the world was black and white. But now, for the first time in several years, I'm looking forward to the new year. I feel happy. For several reasons. I've met new people and got to know stuff about them. I'm genuinely interested in them. I can focus on my studies better, sort of remembering why I started them in the first place. I picked up my guitar and I'm learning Spanish. The world isn't a black and white place anymore. There are colors now, and they're awesome. Not all my problems were PMO related, but I guess it was the last drop in the bucket, and removing that bucket helped me to work on myself." Now, there are other neurological changes that happen in the brain when you're addicted as well. I'm not going to go into all that. I talk about a lot in my book, Whack Addicted to Internet Porn. You can also go to yourbrainonporn.com, Gary Wilson's site. He compiles all the best research on addiction, internet addiction, porn addiction, and how that affects our brains. So check that out for sure. I'll put a link to that in the description. Now, moving on to the mental side of this, the mental changes that we might experience when quitting porn. So, imagine this. You've all your life given into your impulses. You're not very good about controlling what you eat a lot of fatty, sweet foods. You're not very good at getting to the gym all the time when you should. You're not very good at forcing yourself to complete your homework on time. You wait till the last minute, you procrastinate. And when you feel sexual urge, usually you masturbate or you use porn. Now, you start to take control of one big aspect of your life, which is your porn use. You start to deny yourself the easy route in favor of the route that's better for you in the long run, that you know is the hard choice but the right choice. And you make that choice, and it starts you on this momentum, this roll of momentum that leads to changes in other aspects of your life. You know, you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit, and all you really want to do, you don't want to face the day, you just want to use porn, and you're overcome by this urge to open up a tab, and it would be so easy just to open up a private browser window, put in your pornhub.com, and go to your favorite videos. But instead, there's this little voice inside you that says, no, we committed not to do this, and you somehow find a way to turn away and not open that computer tab, and you get along with your day. And after conquering that urge, you feel great about yourself. You're taking control of your life for the first time in a long time. And then when you get upstairs and you can choose to have that leftover pepperoni pizza from last night for breakfast, or you can make a fruit smoothie, you think, well, the pepperoni pizza sounds good, but I know it won't make me feel very good. I'll go for the fruit, you know? I'm on a roll here. Why stop it now? And then you get to school and you're feeling good from your good decisions in the morning, and you're able to concentrate well because you didn't exhaust yourself with masturbating and some old pepperoni pizza. And it just starts you on a roll that leads to all these increases in confidence and increases in ability. You start to make good choices in your life. And that is pretty awesome. I mean, you can say that that's all mental, but I'm sure that making those choices, engaging that part of your brain that's rational and controls your impulses, increases the strength of that part of your brain. And the more we practice anything, the better we get at it. So the more you practice abstaining from what's bad for you, the better you'll be at doing that in every part of your life. And that can start to feel like a superpower. Now, I can't guarantee that NoFap will make you a chick magnet, but I can say that people in general, and women specifically, are very perceptive. They can often tell what we're thinking and how we feel about ourselves. So, if you feel good, you're making the right choices in your life, you finally gotten a grip on this PMO addiction that has plagued you for a long time, there's light at the end of the tunnel, there's hope for you, you're eating right, you're exercising, you're doing things that are good for you, and you're focusing on your studies or your work, you're making your life happen, you have this confidence and this light in you, people can tell. That's a very attractive quality. People want to be around positive, forward-moving people like that. So, just this other day I read this post from this guy, a no-fapper, who was walking down the street, and this pretty lady stops him, and she says, "Wow, you have a beautiful face." And this guy, he's so shocked that all he can think of to say is, "Thank you," and keeps walking. Now, of course, later he realizes he probably should have had a conversation with her and seen where things went, but he was so shocked because no one had ever said anything like that to him before. She saw something in him that wasn't there before, and whether that was some light in his eyes brought about by neurological changes that she found appealing, or whether it was just the way he carried himself because mentally he felt more confident. Does it really matter to us and here in the moment? And what matters to us is that NoFap can bring about these extraordinary, unexpected benefits. And that is something worth trying out. I don't think it's right to deny these superpowers. Not everyone is going to feel like they're super, like they've achieved the next level in their life, but a lot of people do, and it comes in varying forms. Some of these are harder for me to explain than others, I don't think there is a scientific link yet between masturbation and acne, for example, but it's hard to deny an anecdote like this. This guy says, wow, just wow, my skin has not looked this good in almost a year. I honestly do not know what to say except that it must be nofap. My habits are the same. I'm eating the same foods. I'm drinking the same amount of water, exercising the same, working the same stress level. Only nofap has changed. I strongly recommend with anybody with acne to try nofap. My skin actually looks good now. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's something. Whether it's raising or lowering hormones, testosterone, stress, whatever it is, nofap works. I mean, it's hard to deny an anecdote like that. And personally, my skin I think got a little bit better, but it could have been a placebo effect. I don't know. Another of the harder to explain ones for me is people on nofap feeling like they're able to make more strength gains or muscle gains. Now, it could be that they're expelling some energy or nutrient in their semen that, while retained, is able to help them build muscle mass more quickly, but I don't know. We have yet to really find that out. But it's worth trying nofap to see what superpowers will come about. I can guarantee that there is one way to make sure you don't get superpowers, and that is by quitting porn and doing nothing else. Just sitting back, waiting for the benefits to come to you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Recovery is an active process. We have to be putting ourselves out there in the world, expanding our comfort zone, meeting new people, approaching new challenges. That's how we build a better life, and by building a better life, we take away the need to go back to this artificial release, this escape, porn. And that's how we level ourselves up and acquire these superpowers, I believe. Now, I'd love to hear about any superpowers you've acquired or you will acquire, so send me a message with that. For anyone else out there who has a story or a question they think that I might have some insight on, you can send that to me and I might make a video response just like this. My contact information is in the description below. Also, if you appreciate these videos and you feel like they've added value to your lives, then you can express that appreciation by donating to me at my website, addictedtointernetporn.com. As always, I'll see you next time. Coach Church out.